That's the end of society.
Yeah.
So, you know, don't go through my trash. It's not nearly as boring as his. But I'm not getting into
Really?
it. To what you might
I
find
live in trash, so it's got to go through. Then you're breaking and entering.
Well, Bill, which raises a good question. Now that FBI agents are allowed, or it's easier for them to dig through people's trash, are you going to use your fake badge when you go dumpster diving?
Ooh! Does the Toys R Us one work? Because that's the one I'm carrying right now.
I think if you flash it at night quickly
very
enough,
quickly. I got to
yeah.
work on that and not shake as much.
Yeah.
I think this is terrible, and I hate nuanced wording because then you know something sinister is going on. It's like what you said. First they needed justification, now it's assessment of justification. That can mean anything.
Yeah.
And look, and if you want to like always question the FBI, look no further than what their building is still named of. J. Edgar Hoover. This guy was a blackmailing transsexual, and they're actually going to have him on the name of the building, and we're going to expect that they don't ever have sinister motives.
I don't think he was a transsexual. I think he might have been a transvestite.
I always forget the difference.
Yeah.
He wore dresses and took pictures of presidents having
It's
sex for
actually
blackmail.
just more of a cross-dresser.
Yes,
thank you, yes.
Transvestites are a little lazier, not quite as good.
They won't commit.
Yeah, every day is Halloween.
Yeah. Bill, just once I would like to
cycled
see
back to the main topic.
Just once I would like for there not to be a phone ringing, but also I would like to see a government agency say, "Hey, you know what? We've got too much power. This might be a bad thing."
Yeah, don't hold your breath.
You don't.
No, look,
is
I
that
mean,
ever going to happen?
You know, that's why we limit government and cut government. And look, if this is a problem, the Congress should do oversight hearings. But I do think, in general, the problem in America is not that the police are bashing into huge numbers of homes or people are searching through too many people's garbage. I don't really see that going on that much.
Right. I think it's the biggest problem facing this great nation.
Thank you. Right.
Yeah.
Can I make one point before?
No.
Well, it's been. You're right.
No, go ahead.
It's been annoying me. People are just bellyaching about their privacy. Americans don't care about anybody's privacy but their own. If we cared about privacy, we wouldn't penalize Mel Gibson for what he said in his personal conversations, or Tiger Woods what he did in his personal life. We don't care about privacy. We're a nosy country. We like to watch people's personal lives get kicked all over the front yard, and we cry like babies when it's our front yard.
But then you bring in the public versus private person debate, though.
Right.
Because a lot of people choose to carry on in public, and there's a whole private sector that feels
Yeah,
like the opposite.
Look, I think for famous people like Mel Gibson or me, you know, there are different standards.
Of course we think that
But for
when we're
normal people like you, I think you should have. I do think you should have maybe a little, well, less privacy actually.
But do you know what I'm saying, though? It's,
Yeah.
it's like I get tired. Unless we're going to be consistent, I don't want to hear it from anybody.
Right.
I can't look through my garbage. But every time Tiger was having sex with a new girl, nobody avoided reading his dirty text messages.
Right, I did. I would never read such filth.
I loved him, and I filled in my own
filth and
words over
trash.
the asterisk.
Did you? Excellent.
Better than Mad Libs.
All right, coming up, what's Tracy Morgan up to these days? Now, it looks like about 250. Who knew Crow was so fattening? You're watching Red Eye on FNC, so stick around. So first the rant, now the recant. Yeah, Tracy Morgan is apologizing, and apologizing some more, for his homophobic and sexist comments during a stand-up show in Nashville, saying he, quote, went too far and was not funny in any context. According to an audience member, the 30 Rock star said, among other things, he'd stab his son to death if he said he was gay. Morgan's boss and co-star Tina Fey called the comments disturbing, and NBC's chairman, who is gay, released a statement saying, "We will always recognize an artist's freedom to express him or herself, but not when reckless things are said, no matter what the context." On Monday, Tracy met with GLAAD in New York and said, "I know how bad bullying can hurt. I was bullied when I was a kid. I'm sorry for what I said. I didn't mean it. I never want to use my comedy to hurt anyone." You know who never has to apologize? Well, except maybe apologize for being too adorable.
I do every day.
Yeah. Jim, do you think Tracy should have apologized?
I understand why he did, and I would have in his shoes, too. It's easy to go, don't apologize, because I don't have millions of dollars at stake.
Right.
What bothers me is not Tracy. It's GLAAD and other special interest groups. When is an actor ever going to be asked to apologize for what he said in a performance? It's never going to happen. When is an author in a performance or in a fictional novel ever going to be asked to apologize for that? I'm so sick of comedians being targeted because of what we say on stage. And people are like, well, that's how you really feel. Not necessarily. It can be an exaggeration of how you really feel. So I guess I understand why he did it, but I'm just tired of them expecting these phony apologies. You don't have the right in this country to not have your feelings hurt. And it is a freedom of speech issue. I know that technically he's legally allowed to say it, but they are, in a way, backdoor threatening his job. So they are threatening to remove his speech just by not putting him in jail which would be a First Amendment violation.
But see, my take is like whether or not a comedian wants to apologize for saying something in his or her stand-up act, that's up to them.
Sure.
But when you're on, and I think you're alluding to this, when you're on a primetime network show, the rules are different. That's just how it is.
Yeah, and again, I understand why he did it. So,
right.
You know, but I know Tracy, and I can picture him saying those things. And I've never seen him behave hatefully towards anybody.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I know his inflection. Without a recording, it's very hard. But if he actually stopped and said, like Michael Richards, what he did on stage was for real.
Right.
And you knew it was real. You knew he wasn't trying to be funny. You knew he meant it. He was just trying to be vicious.
Right.
There's a big difference, I think.
My feeling is if Tracy had just added the words Liz Lemon after the sentence, he would have gotten away with it. If he said, you know, I'll kill my son, Liz Lemon, then everyone would have just laughed. And that would have been that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But what about the part where he talks about successful women being the cause of the downfall of society or something like that? I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't really see any humor in that. And Tina Fey not even mentioning that part of it.
Well, that's the good point, and that also speaks to him being dumb. Because basically what he's saying within so many words is, I hate you, Tina Fey. That's essentially what he said.
But,
that's
no, but
his
is he
boss.
saying that or is he doing a bit?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Because his name is Tracy Morgan. And going back to what you said, if I said anything like that about News Corp or anyone else, whether it be a group or a select person,
Right.
I have every right to get fired. Here's the difference. News Corp is not aware of the fact that I'm employed here. So that's a big difference.
Which
so I could probably
we know
get away
because
with.
you're still employed here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But no, he's allowed to say it. No one's arguing that.
Yeah.
But it's stupid.
But do you see how you said, like, you don't find that funny? It's all subjective.
Right.
Fair enough.
None of it is not. It's like him saying that women are the downfall of successful women are the downfall of society. Don't you see the ludicrousness of that? To me, a lot of humor is based in something being ludicrous and so obviously nonsensical or idiotic. That's where the humor comes. I don't find a lot of people funny, but I would never want their right to say what they say taken away, ever, whether I agree with them or disagree with them.
The most talented thing, as a comedian, it's amazing how you just know exactly where to draw that line, but it's really easy to go over it. But the best comedians know exactly what's humor and what's not, and I just kind of felt like that was a little bit pushing the envelope. And then the whole Tina Fey side of it, just kind of ignoring the women's
hang on.
side.
Let me get Bill Crystal involved in this because he's itching to jump in here. How long before Tracy Morgan goes to some kind of rehab?
That's a good question. No, he won't. He's apologized, and I don't know. But he's a comedian.
Yeah.
And the worst part of it is the smarmy statement by the head of NBC. Well, we totally recognize his right to free speech, except you can't have free speech.
Right.
If it offends some people. You know, plenty of other people have been offended by an awful lot of actors and comedians over the years.
Right.
The soldiers have been mocked and called baby killers, and other parts of American society have been ridiculed endlessly, obviously. You know, gays are maybe it's a more sensitive issue with gays, because they have, of course, been discriminated against, and the feminist groups, I guess, are strong. Though, as you point out, they didn't actually make a big deal of that, because that was just obviously a joke, I suppose. Why is Tina Fey getting involved anyway? What is she, the arbiter?
She came out and said it was disturbing.
She's the arbiter at NBC of what comedians are allowed to say.
She runs 30 Rock, and Tracy Morgan's on the show, so
And they probably asked her.
that's why. Yeah, I'm assuming somebody said to her.
The best comedians know where lines are. George Carlin lived over the line with taste. Richard Pryor lived over the line.
Totally.
Sam Kinison was a genius. He lived over the line.
And
a great
Archie Bunker
comedian
went
never
over the line, and
respects
we laughed at him, and that was the character.
At Kinison or Pryor? You laughed at Pryor? You didn't
No,
laugh
no,
with
she was
Pryor?
saying Archie Bunker.
Oh,
But that's separate.
yes.
That's a TV
But that's-
character.
Right, but that was a
different.
sarcastic portrayal. So
Right.
Archie Bunker was dropping N-bombs, and he was being
But you know,
very
you raised
Right.
the point, Jim, about how we're in this super media society where everything is so quick and so digital, and so so it's really easy to misinterpret Tracy Morgan's comments, because when you put them on paper as opposed to hearing them being delivered, you lose a lot in translation. And I think that's also something that you guys have to be mindful of.
That's why.
Well, maybe people shouldn't misinterpret him, or doesn't Tina Fey know that what comedians do,
Right.
that she shouldn't get all upset if
I
some
gotta
comedian says
move
something silly?
on.
Okay.
No, answer the
I
question.
gotta move on. The answer is maybe. No. So, do you have a comment on the show? Email us. It's redeye@foxnews.com. And to leave a voicemail on Greg's direct line, call 212-462-5050. Still to come, the halftime report from Joe DeRosa. Hi, Norm.
Tonight's halftime report is sponsored by the Penny Farthing, that unique-looking bicycle with one large front wheel and a much smaller rear wheel, invented in 1871. Thanks, Penny Farthing.
Hey, welcome back. Let's find out if we've gotten anything wrong so far. For that, we go to Joe DeRosa. Joe, what you got?
Andy, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm great.
I don't
Lori.
care.
Oh, God. I miss Greg. Lori, let's talk about Wiener. You said that he has a facade of awesomeness.
You didn't like that? You don't agree?
No, I don't. That guy is actually awesome. It's not a facade. He sent a picture of his bird over Twitter, and that rules.
So obviously you think that's awesome? I don't know if that's so awesome.
Yes.
That's
well, if you
weird.
just want to repeat things that I'm saying back to me again, I mean, we could sit here all night and do this.
What's awesome in terms of the pictures of what we learned about Congressman Wiener in the last couple
What's
of weeks?
awesome is I didn't ask you for any more lip. Just kidding. All right, Andy, there's speculation, Andy, you were talking about it, that obviously if Wiener's going away, it's probably to get some sex addiction therapy. Mm-hmm. You know what I heard?
What'd you hear?
I heard he's actually going to hedonism. And that's not going to help him at all.
Is that what you heard? You take a serious subject like this and you make a little joke?
Well, I mean, you know.
You think that's funny?
I do think-
People have problems, people have addictions, and you sit up there and you make your snarky little jokes? Shame on you, sir.
That's
Shame
what I
on
do.
you.
I take my pain and I project it onto other people.
You take other people's pain and you
that's,
mock it.
That's what I do. Also, when you're discussing a story like this and you're talking about women receiving things,
Right.
don't use the term inbox. It just sounds bad with a story like this. This girl got this from Wiener in her inbox.
Right.
It doesn't sound good.
Why?
I would say there's a little bit of a double entendre there.
Well, I don't get that.
Okay, I don't get you.
I don't see entendre.
Okay, where's Greg? Is he coming back?
Never.
Jim, you said don't send pictures of your junk to total strangers if you're a politician.
Right.
You're absolutely right. Those are meant for friends and family.
Absolutely.
And that's it. Yes.
And I said that to be poignant, like I was making a great point that no one had thought of. Like, send out photos of your junk, but just make sure that you've met the person.
I like it. I like it. The other point you made was that he's making that leering, creepy face in all the pictures. I've seen you make that face so many times.
I have, but here's the thing. Wiener and I have something in common. We're both kind of unattractive men. He looks more like a newt than I do, but he has a very good body, so he's showing his body off, whereas I just have to go, I show my face, and I cut out the torso, and I show myself below the waist. After I Photoshop, of course, and add a shadow.
Very good. Bill K. Bill K., you're really dodging the Wiener questions at the top of the... Why don't you show a little respect for the host of this program and answer a few questions?
You know, I'm just still kind of in awe to be sitting next to Andy. I mean, normally he's there in the screen where you are, relegated to that kind of second banana position. But here he is stepping up, you know, showing how it's done. Greg's watching, biting his fingernails. Will he be invited back? Roger Ailes is watching, saying, that's the guy, Andy.
Joe, I think Bill has answered the question. You can move on now.
Yes, I agree.
Excellent answer.
Every bullet Crystal dodges has the danger of hitting Jim in the face. So he's not thinking of other people.
Let's move on to the FBI story. Andy, you were complaining about the FBI taking more of your privacy away. I speak for the entire country. The less we see and know about you, the better. I think we're all better off. Let's privatize Andy Levy.
So you agree with me then?
Yes, I do agree with you. Also, too, I'd just like to say, thank God the ACLU is objecting to this because they really have a good handle on not poking their noses where they shouldn't belong. Bill K.
Yes, sir.
You said that this isn't as big a deal as people are making it out to be.
Yeah.
Yes? Yeah.
Yes.
Just so the rest of you know on the panel, he's wearing a wire right now. Don't trust him.
25 years as an informer and proud of it.
Yes. Lori, you said this is a classic example of a lot of people suffering to catch a few people, blah, blah, blah. You kind of stumbled. Listen, I believe that the saying goes, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Star Trek 2.
Spock said it. Star Trek 2, exactly. Wrath of Khan. I suggest you rent it next time.
Oh, I know it verbatim.
Andy,
Don't test me, though.
Andy, you said you'd like a government agency to say for once we have too much power. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'd like to be a Jedi. Grow up, idiot.
I'd just like you to be a good human being.
I just wanted to call you an idiot.
He's kind of mean.
He really
This doesn't
is.
help.
Like I thought.
What doesn't help?
We don't need this. Let's not stand off. Let me come in and do my dumb jokes, and then and then I'll go away. You know how this works.
Are you done?
No. One more story. Tracy Morgan.